Hey friends, welcome to StockAbility Startup Lesson number 3. This is probably one of the most important subjects we're going to cover over this lesson series, risk control and profit. Notice how I put risk control ahead of profit. There is a reason for that, and you're going to see why.
So let's face it, the first time we talk about trading, we probably think about making money. But that's not what it's about. Yeah, sure, we want a profit, but professionals don't focus on making money. They actually focus on not losing money first and foremost. And we call this risk control, also known as risk management. The art of not losing money is critical when you're taking part in the financial markets, guys. And this is something that most traders, when they're very new on this journey, don't quite understand. They make the focus purely about profit. We've got to understand this right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen next in the market. No one has the perfect system. Nobody has a holy grail. We have a game of probabilities here. Note this, what I am saying to you right now. You're going to lose. You're going to have losing trades, and that's fine and that's acceptable. It's how you deal with them. And not dealing with them in the right way is what is unacceptable. The power of probabilities. What does that mean? Okay, well, let's just take a trade, for example, here. And we could get into a market position. We could buy up a stock and it could work in our favor and we could get a large profit. We could also get into a position and get a small profit. Both of those are acceptable. Sometimes the market's not going to do anything. We buy it. It doesn't really move in our favor. It stays where it is. Okay, we break even. You're going to get small losses too. Sometimes the market's going to go against you. And if you don't protect yourself the right way, the worst scenario is the large loss. Out of these 5 possible incomes, what do you think is going to have the worst impact on our investing and trading accounts? Of course, the large loss. To keep probability on our side, what we are going to do is remember that of these 5 potential outcomes, 4 of them are perfectly acceptable to the professional. Any business, though, has to have a cost of operations, and when you get it wrong, you cap it and keep it as a small loss. Our small losses are simply our expenses. They're a cost of doing business. And, you have to get through those small losses to get to the large wins. So think about what we've done here. We've allowed the large gain to happen, the small gain to happen, the break even, and the small loss. The small loss is okay. It's the large loss that's not. Let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. You heard me just talking about a business. Well, the first rule of business, stay in business, okay? Most people say to me, the first rule of business is to make money. No, the first rule of business is to stay in business. Let's talk about how we do this. This is a game where we have to take a longer term mentality, and I call it playing the long game. Let's explain what this means. The concepts of winning and losing when trading are widely misunderstood. Nobody can be right 100% of the time. And we account for the possibility of losing more than winning by using a risk-to-reward ratio dynamic. The risk-to-reward ratio is going to allow us to potentially profit even though we may take more losses than wins. Well, how does that work out? Well, there are 3 factors here: risk, reward, and then the risk-to-reward ratio, R to R. We define risk as the loss we're prepared to take when we are wrong on our speculations. We exit the trade for a predefined and acceptable amount. And this can be automated. So just think about this. You put in a trade, you're going to have a cutoff point where you've already decided, hey, this thing isn't working in my favor, I'm getting out. Now, as well as getting into the trade knowing what's acceptable if you lose, what is your target? What is the goal of the trade? Well, we define the reward as the profit made when we close the trade. It's the difference between the entry price and our target price. And this should always be larger than the risk. You could actually put the target and the risk protection in place at the same time and automate this. This is making our life a whole lot easier. So now we can look at the risk to reward ratio, and the ratio actually compares the potential risk of the trading opportunity versus the potential reward or gain. This is formed by dividing the amount of profit being sought by the risk or loss to be taken if wrong. So say 1 to 5, that would mean, hey, I'm willing to risk $1 on this trade if I'm wrong. And I'm not going to let it go any further than $1 against me, but my target on this trade is 5 to 1. Okay, that is a key element in our risk to reward ratio. So if we look at risk to reward in a little bit more detail in reality, for example, we can have 2 scenarios. Let's take scenario A here. Let's say the market opens and we decide to buy this stock at $50. We are prepared to sell it at $65, our predefined profit target. But we also know the trade may not move in our favor. So what are we going to do to protect ourselves? We are going to say, hey, we are prepared to sell at $45 if the market moves below $50. We're not going to just let it go, keep going down. We're going to say if this thing hits 45, we are done. That is our predefined loss. Now let's say the market opens and goes up to $65 over the next day. The stock rallies to 65. What have we made? We've made a $15 reward. What were we prepared to lose though? Well, our risk in this case is the difference between $50 and $45, which is 5. So we can see our reward was 15, our risk was 5, a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio. Scenario A turned to be a profit. In scenario B, we also open at the same price and we buy at $50, anticipating the market's going to go to $65, our predefined profit target. And once again, we put in that predefined loss parameter of saying, hey, I'm going to sell if this market goes down to $45. Well, the market opens, goes a little bit higher, but doesn't quite reach our profit target. Price starts to push down later in the trading session, and by the close drops dramatically and price falls to $10. Well, how much loss have we taken? If we bought this at 50 and now it's at 10, we're taking a $40 loss. However, our loss is capped at $5 because we put in an order to sell at $45, restricting that loss to just $5, and we live to fight another day on here. This is a beautiful thing. We can automate these protection measures in place to make sure that we don't lose too much money. In scenario A, we had a gain of $15. In scenario B, we had a loss of $5. Now, nobody really likes losing, I get that, but bear with me a second here, because this is how the experienced trader knows that in the long run, if they have a good system that they're following, they can still be profitable, even though they may lose more than win. Let's explain this. You could be right 99% of the time and wrong just 1% of the time and still lose money if you don't control your downside. Like, just imagine this, you make $1 99 times in a row, but then you lose $200 once. You're down, okay? So the success rate's not that important, because on the flip side of this, we could take 99 $1 losses and then a single $150 or $200 win and still be profitable, but only if we keep those losses small, which we just spoke about. So let's do a quick case study here. We take 10 trades. Our goal is a 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio. We lose $50 per trade on 6 of the trades. 6 times $50 means we're totally losing $300 in the negative. Now, we have 4 winning trades, and on the 4 winning trades, each trade makes $150, which is 3 times the risk. That results in a total profit of $600. So if we have $600 of gains and we have $300 of losses, we actually end up with a $300 net profit with only a 40% success rate. Some of the greatest traders of all time were wrong more than they were right. Is it really just a loss, or are we looking at something here that's part of a bigger strategy, a bigger plan? This is the game of probabilities. So if we now take this and we embrace this reward to risk ratio and we keep those losses small, here's our challenge if we choose to accept it. Can we, if we have a good strong risk to reward ratio of say 1-to-3, can we still make money if we lose 70% of the time? Imagine now, I could be wrong 70% of the time, but if I have a good solid risk to reward ratio, can I still make money if my average win is $3 versus my average loss of $1? Give that some thought.
So hopefully after that lesson, you know how we feel about controlling our downside. I will tell you this now, and I'll tell you till I'm blue in the face. Protecting yourself is way more important than making money. A professional trader will always focus on the risk and then worry about the reward later. So now you understand a lot more about that important dynamic and that ratio of risk to reward. In the next lesson, we've got something very special, a subject I call the recession-proof business. You're probably wondering, what does that mean? See you next time and all will be explained. Have a good one.